ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं दैवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतां स्वकतः कृष्णपुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदयन्तस्थो ह्यभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतां नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 18, Text 17 and 18. गन्धर्वाप्सरसो दुक्षन् पात्रे पद्ममये पयः वत्सं विश्वावसुं कृत्वा गान्धर्वं मधुसौभगम् गन्धर्वाप्सरसो दुक्षन् पात्रे पद्ममये पयः वत्सं विश्वावसुं कृत्वा गान्धर्वं मधुसौभगम् गन्धर्वाप्सरसो दुःखन् पात्रे पद्ममये पयः वत्सं विश्वावसुं कृत्वा गान्धर्वं मधुसौभगम्. Synonyms: Gandharva, inhabitants of the Gandharva planet; Apsarasaha, the inhabitants of the Apsara planet; Adukshan, milked out; Patre, in a pot; Padmamaye, made of lotus; Payaha, milk; Vatsam, calf; Vishwavasum, of name Vishwavasu; Kritva, making; Gandharvam, songs; Madhu, sweet; Saubhagam, beauty. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The inhabitants of Gandharva Loka and Apsara Loka made Vishwavasu into a calf, and they drew the milk into a lotus flower pot. The milk took the shape of a sweet musical art and beauty. Text 18. वत्सेन पितरोर्यमाना कव्यं क्षीरम् अदुक्षत आमपात्रे महाभागाः श्रद्धया श्राद्धदेवताः वत्सेन पितरोर्यमन् आर्यम्ना कव्यं क्षीरम् अदुक्षत आमपात्रे महाभागाः श्रद्धया श्राद्धदेवताः वत्सेन पितरोर्यम्ना कव्यं क्षीरम् अदुक्षत आमपात्रे महाभागाः श्रद्धया श्राद्धदेवताः. Synonyms: Vatsena, by the calf; Pitaraha, the inhabitants of Pitraloka; Aryamna, by the god of Pitraloka, Aryama; Kavyam, offerings of food to the ancestors; Kshiram, milk; Adukshata, took out; Amapatre, into a unbaked earthen pot; Mahabhagaha, the greatly fortunate; Shraddaya, with great faith; Shraddha Devataha, the demigods presiding over Shraddha ceremonies in honor of deceased relatives. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The fortunate inhabitants of Pitraloka who preside over the funeral ceremonies made Aryama into a calf. With great faith, they milked Kavya, food offered to the ancestors, into an unbaked earthen pot. Purport: in the Bhagavad Gita 9:25, it is said, Pitran yanti prithuvrataha. Those who are interested in the family welfare are called Pitruvrataha. This is a planet, there is a planet called Pitruloka, and the predominating deity of that planet is called Ariyama. He is somewhat of a demigod, and by satisfying him, one can help ghostly family members develop a gross body. Those who are very sinful and attached to their family, house, village, or country do not receive a gross body made of material elements, but remain in a subtle body composed of mind, ego, and intelligence. Those who live in such a subtle bodies are called ghosts. This ghostly position is very painful because a ghost has intelligence, mind, and ego and wants to enjoy material life. But because he does not have a gross material body, he can only create disturbances for want of material satisfaction. It is the duty of family members, especially the son, to offer oblations to the demigod Ariyama or Lord Vishnu. From time immemorial in India, the son of a dead man goes to Gaya and at the Vishnu temple there offers oblations for benefit of his ghostly father. It is not that everyone's father becomes a ghost, but the obvious oblations of Pinda are offered to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, so that if a family member happens to become a ghost, he will be favored with the gross body. However, if one is habituated to take the prasada of the Lord Vishnu, there is no chance of his becoming a ghost or anything lower than a human being. In Vedic civilization, there is a performance called Shraddha, by which food is offered with faith and devotion. If one offers oblations with faith and devotion, either to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu or his representatives in Pitraloka, Aryama, one of the forefathers, will attain one's forefathers will attain material bodies to enjoy whatever material enjoyment is due to them. In other words, they do not have to become ghosts. नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. I humbly bow down to all the Asmal Vaishnavas. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to purify myself. Today is an auspicious appearance day of His Holy, His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. So, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was called the Simha Guru, and he gave us Srila Prabhupada, and by whose mercy we are able to relish the glories of the Supreme Personality of God, its name, and his pastimes. So, so it's very important to acknowledge the parampara and also understand the unique position of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in giving us this message about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, with that context, we are in the fourth canto, 18th chapter, text 17 and 18. So here the entire canto, so the entire chapter so far is revolving around how Prithu Maharaj has caught the earth in the form of a cow. Mother Earth has actually hidden all the grains and all the wealth so from people. So because she thought the entire place is full of thieves and rogues, so there is no point, and so she kept everything within herself. So Prithu Maharaj has got hold of the Mother Earth, and the Mother Earth was pleading to him not to kill, and then she's suggesting to him that the only way you can actually get is like I've taken the form of a cow. You can bring a calf, and then you can actually take all the necessary stuff from me. So what happened is Prithu Maharaj, he was initially very angry, but then he got toned down, and he asked Swayambhuva Manu to turn into a calf. And with Swayambhuva Manu as calf, the Mother Earth got this natural attraction for this calf, and she started giving this milk. And this milk is actually the milk which came from Swayambhuva Manu, and Prithu Maharaj's milking was all the herbs and grains which was kept in the hidden in the mother earth. And then Prithu Maharaj was able to get everything, every herb and grains which are needed for the sustenance of the human race. So this is a very allegorical story. So what this means is there is a lot of insights we can draw from this. So once Prithu Maharaj got what he actually needed for his citizens, then not only for for the satisfaction of the people on the earth, but it's mentioned in the Shrimad Bhagavatam that even the demigods from different planets, they wanted to get as much as possible from the Mother Earth, because she's in a very beneficent mood right now, because she has this affection for this calf, and she will give whatever one desires. So in following the footsteps of Prithu Maharaj, all the great sages, they transformed Brihaspati, who Brihaspati is the chief among all the sages. And then Brihaspati became a calf, and he making the senses of into a pot, he milked all kinds of Vedic knowledge to purify the words, mind, and hearing. So it's mentioned that even the Vedas, it's a very interesting analogy. So when Hiranyaksha hid the hit the earth, Varahadev, he actually brought the Mother Earth from this depths of the ocean and then brought her back. So and that's why it said Vedhan Uddharate. So and similarly, when the Matsya incarnation, the Lord protected all the Vedas. So in some way, the earth has all this collection of this Vedic knowledge, and Brihaspati, he wanted to get all the Vedic knowledge from the earth, and he milked the Vedic knowledge from the earth. So that's Brihaspati, and then all the demigods, including and made Indra the calf, and then they milked the beverage called Soma, which is an elixir, and so anybody who drinks the Soma rasa, they don't have death. So they became very powerful in mental speculation and in their bodily strength, and so that was done by the demigods. And then it's mentioned that the sons of Diti, or the demons, Daityas, they transformed Prahlad Maharaj. He's considered to be the king of the demons, and then they transformed into a calf, and they extracted various kinds of liquor and beer, and they put it into a pot made of iron. And then after that, this current verse, this is following, and the Gandharvas from the Gandharva Loka, they are actually milking the earth, because the earth has all these different knowledge about the different musical notes and musical arts and beauty. So they asked Vishwavasu, who's considered to be the chief of the Gandharva Lokas and the Apsara Lokas, and he drew the milk, or the substance from the earth, through which all the different musical arts and the beauty and of this earth became manifest. The Gandharvas are actually from the higher celestial planes, and these are called the divine singers. And so typically when we see in the functions or any sacrifices which Indra makes in the heaven, there is beautiful singing of songs in praise of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and these Gandharvas are the ones who sing them, and they are the only activity they do is to sing, and it's a very celestial planet. And Vishwavasu is considered to be the chief of the demigod of this Gandharvas, and here it's also mentioned the Apsara Lokas. The Apsara Lokas are the celestial world of all dancers. So whenever there is a sacrifice, or whenever there is a huge Vedic ceremony going on, the Gandharvas would sing and the Apsaras would dance. And these are like, so we know, like whenever we have this important events, then we have song and dance, and that comes from this particular realm where the Gandharvas and Apsaras, they exemplify this art of like music and dance. And in the 18th verse, Srila Prabhupada talks about the Pitraloka. The Pitraloka is presided by a deity called Aryama. And the Aryama, all the Pitralokas, the denizens of Pitraloka, they turned Aryama into a calf, and they milked the kavya, or the food offered to the ancestors. And this is the sustenance for all the Pitrus in the Pitraloka, and that way they'll be able to go back home, get a gross body, basically. So in this Srila Prabhupada, in this particular verse, Srila Prabhupada quotes a lot of important points, and it's important for us to dissect them. So for example, in the first sentence, he says, Pitrunyanti Prithuvrataha. So those Pitruvrataha means those who are interested in the family welfare. And so typically we have heard in India, so this is the glory of the Vedic culture. So in the Vedic culture, right from the moment when even before the baby is born, right? So there are different samskaras which are instilled into the soul, into the child. And so it starts from, first is Garbhadana Samskara, where the parents, they actually pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead to have a very Krishna conscious and a very spiritually oriented son, and that's the Garbhadana Samskara. And after that, then there is Jatakarma, Namakarana, Chudakarana. So there are like 16 samskaras which are mentioned in the Manusmriti, and Upanayana samskara, and then Vivaha samskara, and then all these different samskaras. And the last samskara is called Antyeshti samskara, and that's at the death, at the time of death. We do there is a samskara called Antyeshti, and this is there, and there is also continuation after the death, and that's called the Shraddha. So the Vedic Vedas say that the soul is actually in a transformative journey. So the soul, it takes a material body, it goes through its things which wants, the desires, and then things which doesn't like, and it goes goes through a lot of things and accrue some sense of attachment. And this typically we have this gross material body, and then there is subtle body, which is composed of mind, intelligence, and false ego, and then there is the soul. The soul is always covered by these two layers, the subtle layer and also the gross layer. So typically what happens is, like, when the soul moves from one body to another, where in the Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned, Kaumaram Yavvanam Jara Tata Dehantara Prapti Dhiras Tatrana Mukhyati. Just like how one transfers from the younghood to adulthood to youthhood, just like that the soul moves from one body to another. And so the Srimad Bhagavad Gita also gives a very interesting analogy in terms of how it happens. It says, Srotram Chakrushas Parishanam Cha Rasanam Ghranam Evacha Adhishtayam Manaschayam Vishayan Upasevate. So, just because of one's mind, the soul gets a specific sense of smell, a specific sense of taste, and all these different senses are just grouped about a mind, and it gets a physical body. So, typically, what happens is, if the gross body dies before the karmic account balance is done, so what can happen is the soul is still trapped with the subtle body, and it will not be able to get a gross body because the karmic balance is not ready to give it a new physical body. So what can happen is that these souls which are trapped because of untimely death, or not having completed their karmic quota, they can be moving around or roaming around in the form of ghost. And Srila Prabhupada here mentions that the ghostly body is very, it's a very sad predicament, because they have the mind, intelligence, and false ego, and they want to enjoy this material world, but because they don't have a gross body, there is no enjoyment. So it's a very frustrating situation, and that's why typically we see, like, the ghosts are prone to disturbing human beings and stuff like that. So this is a very disturbing predicament, and to avoid this, the Vedas recommend the process called Shraddha. And the name Putra, it's very interesting. Here Srila Prabhupada says it's a duty of a son to actually perform this Shraddha ceremony or the Pinda ceremony. So the name Putra is actually coming from a Sanskrit word called Pun Nama Naraya Naraka iti Trayate Putra. So Pun, there is a Naraka or a hell called Pun, and the one who protects the fathers or the forefathers from getting into this particular Naraka by offering oblations, he's called a Putra. So that's how the Vedic civilization is organized, where even after the death, there are the lineage or the descendants of this particular person. They do the Pinda ceremony or offering, which is actually taken by this demigod called Aryama, and he would transfer those pious credits to this soul who is suffering in the ghostly body in the Pitr Loka or wherever, and because of that, they would get a gross body. So that's the whole idea of having the Shraddha ceremony being done. And there are a few very interesting things which Srila Prabhupada makes here. So Srila Prabhupada talks about Ariyama or Lord Vishnu. So why, I was wondering, like, why does Srila Prabhupada say that? Because if you see in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it's very clearly mentioned that whatever we do, yajno by Vishnu. So any activity we do as sacrifice is for Lord Vishnu. And in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, Krishna says, Epi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayan vitaha. Tepi mam eva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam. So somebody, because of lack of knowledge, they might think that I will go after this demigod, that demigod. But eventually, epi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayan vitaha. Tepi mam eva kaunteya. So whatever they do, they are doing it for me only. That's Krishna's message. So even if somebody does the Vedic sacrifices and he thinks Aryama is the one who is accepting it, eventually it all goes to Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, right? So that's the reason why Srila Prabhupada in the purport he writes, it's either Aryama or Lord Vishnu, because if Lord Vishnu is satisfied, then everybody is satisfied. And there is a beautiful verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam which came to my mind. It said, Yata taror mula nishechinena tripyanti yet skanda bujopashakaha pranapahara yatendriyanam tadeva sarvarhanam achyuta ijya. So it said, Yatha taror mula nishechinena. So if we want to water the tree, we don't go and water the branches, we don't go and water the leaves and the twigs and stuff like that, but rather we go to the root and water it. Just like that, nishechin tripyanti yet skanda bujopashakaha. Just by watering this root, the entire tree becomes more satisfied. And similarly, pranapaharascha yatendriyanam. So if one wants to make the hands strong, you don't feed the hand, but rather you feed the stomach. And because of that, the stomach nourishes the hand, and because of that, the hand becomes strong. So just like that, all other limbs are like that, right? So we just satisfy the stomach. Just like that, tateva sarvarhanam achyuta ijya. Just by worshipping Lord Achyuta, every other demigod is satisfied. So that's the message. So just by satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is satisfied. So those are some of the points I had for this. I think we are exactly on time. So thank you so much for giving me an opportunity for purifying myself. Hare